What is up, you absolute legends? So, in this video, I just want to talk about the basics. Oh, I got some water on my shirt. Nice. Well, it's a good way to start off the video. Today, I want to talk about when you think of reorganizing your mind to live from the wish fulfilled. The initial mental hurdle that you want to overcome is basically thinking from the end, thinking of a state versus thinking from a state is a little bit of a psychological switch that takes a minute to master, to where you are unconsciously competent at naturally switching to the end and thinking from the state versus thinking of the state. And I'll break that down because it was a little bit confusing for me. And it took me a little while to get to the point to where my mind automatically jumped to that wanted state versus thinking of the wanted state. So states are the engines of manifestation, meaning that if you are in a state, right, so say you're angry, you'll have anger-related manifestations. You know, you have a state of anger, you're walking around, people are like, oh, what the fuck is this guy on? Or, you know, some dude will look at you and be like, what's your fucking problem? You know, your hologram will reflect the dominant state that you're in, right? So when you look at a lot of these different processes, right? The goal is really to shift the state so that the state can express. It's to get into a wanted state so the wanted state can express versus the wanting state. Now, when you start to do different things, say you are going from poor to rich, not looking good to looking good, low energy to high energy, whatever jump you're making, you are essentially an electromagnetic being that's in a state that puts out patterns into the world, and the world will basically reflect and have holograms that pop into your third dimensional reality based on the frequencies and patterns that your electromagnetic being is emitting, right? So when you think of like a frequency, or they talk about like Abraham Hicks law of attraction, they're like, you know, you got to change your point of attraction, or you got to change your output frequency, because everything externally is basically a reflection of that externalized, you know, projection of your frequency that is now coming back to you and matching that exact bandwidth. So when you think from a state versus thinking of a state, if you think of a state, you're thinking from an identity level of the person who is still desiring, right? So desire is basically, when properly framed, a precursor to knowing that you have that thing, right? That's how you want to think of desire. So if you see something, or you see somebody who has what you want, and you're like, man, you know, you may have a knee-jerk reaction because you don't physically have it and they have it, and you're like, oh no, this is, you know, why did they get to have that, or whatever, right? That's a very natural way to respond to desires. And you want to reframe that to, oh, wow, the fact that I see that this is externalized in my hologram as this person is having this, I am the version of myself who has that now, right? You want to jump to that, I have it now. And well, if you think I have it now, but then your entire reality doesn't have it, then how do you have it, right? That's the logical mind trap that will hang you up, because you're like, well, I don't have any physicalized evidence. How can I see something that someone else has and go, well, oh, I have that now? Well, the premise behind that type of thinking is that your hologram is showing you who you are, right? And you have to invert your reality a little bit, and you have to take a little bit of a leap of faith, because there is a lag time with any type of manifestation, right? So if you change to the version of yourself where you're like, I have this, but your reality doesn't change, it's simply because there's a dominant pattern, there's a dominant frequency in the field that is still stronger than your new identity and your new state, right? So if you think of it as you're on 92.1 for 10 years, and then you switch to 92.3 for 10 years, or for 5 minutes, right? There's still that bandwidth of trajectory that's going out, and it has to play itself out, but the signal has been changed. So now you are on the right path, but it doesn't feel like you're on the right path because the old paradigm is still playing due to the momentum that was invested in it. So when you think from a state, not of it, what you are really doing is you are superpositioning yourself as the center of creation in your reality. So you're superpositioning yourself as who I am internally, what state I'm in, what my dominant thoughts are, what my dominant beliefs are, create my reality. That's the premise. So knowing that, the best time, to plant a tree was yesterday. The second best time is today, right? So the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The second best time is today. So what you want to do is when you see something that you want to immediately shift into the version of yourself that has it. And the way that you get rid of a lot of those old paradigms and those old types of wavelengths that were created unconsciously, right? Because when you start to do this type of work, what you're basically going from is an unconscious regurgitator of reality to a conscious creator, meaning that you are able to identify what you want, embody what you want, and express what you want. You just want to avoid at all costs loathing in unwanted states that you don't want to judge them or basically have any guilt about where you are now or where you have been. You want to remove all of those sticky lower emotions that will keep that pattern in the field of the old reality stuck. So you want to basically have a clean break, and you want to be disciplined, and you want to use the power of your mind to manifest wanted states on little things all the time, so that you have all of these different evidence-based manifestations of when you do change your state, things change around you, so that you can logically keep reaffirming that it does work, because this shit does work. But the thing that will kill a lot of momentum and stop manifestations, not permanently, but just temporarily, is the inertia that some of these old paradigms have in these old states. So you just want to have a clean bridge when you see something that you want. I am the version that has that. I am so happy and grateful now that I have that. And then you want to lock into that trajectory. And then you want to start playing out scenarios in opposition to a normal thinking of a state, right? Like, oh, that person has that. How do I go get that? How do I go do this thing to be like them? Well, they do this, so I should do this. You want to replace that type of internal dialogue with, I am the person who has this. I have this now. This is how it is. Oh, now I have money. I need to look for investment properties. I'm the person who's always looking for investment properties. Oh, wow, I got my dream body. Okay, this is kind of cool. I've never gotten this much attention from the other sex, right? That playing out of, instead of linearly game planning how you're going to get something, you want to replace that with, now I have it, what am I doing with it? And what will happen is when you start thinking of, I'm the person who has it and what I'm doing with it, that will really hardcore shift that state into the version of you who has it. And it's going to be difficult in the beginning because the state that you're in is the version that doesn't have it. And then as soon as you switch to the state that has it, now you have to actually use your mind a little bit more, because now that you have it, what are you doing with it, right? And then once you train yourself to go into, I have it, now I'm doing this, you're programming your subconscious that you already have it. And once you start to program your subconscious to already have it, now it's going to be a much easier time to hold that state dominantly, because you're not focused on how you're getting it, you're focused on what you're doing with it. And then you work on the level of figuring out the most enjoyable way to have it personalized, customized, to be tailor-made, to be a complement to your life, right? So I don't want to get too ambiguous with my language, but when you have something, the way to ensure that you have it is you appreciate the avenues that you are using it for, and you want to feel the higher end level emotions of, wow, this is really cool that I have this and I'm able to do this and I really appreciate this. Wow, this is really good that I have this, I'm able to do this and I appreciate this. And once you do that, you'll completely kill all of those shitty feelings of being like, oh no, fuck, I'm overweight, I need to get back in the gym, I need to do this, this, and this. Kill that thought pattern, reorient, go to the end. Wow, I'm in the best shape of my life. I feel amazing. This is really, really good. Every time I go to the beach, people are like, this motherfucker looks amazing, right? And so once you retrain that muscle, you eliminate 98% of suffering, and you also quantum jump a lot faster because you're just locked in at the proper frequency. So I hope this made sense. I hope it was useful. It's kind of a nuanced topic, but I think it's really, really important. The other thing to really consider is being able to push into unwanted feelings, recall your power from them, not judging any state that has discomfort. Any state that has discomfort, you want to see it all the same. You never want to dig into any type of exposition or explanation of why it is like that, because that will just feed that state, right? You want to go to the end of what you want. You want to self-identify as a person who has it, and then focus your mind on what you're doing with it and why it's fun and why you love doing what you want to do with the things. And then you work exclusively in that mind state until you feel inspired action that is in alignment with the feelings and frequencies of you having what you want. So hope that was helpful. Cheers, guys. If you want coaching or anything of that nature, check out the description, link in bio. Other than that, have a killer weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.